After nearly 2 decades together, one of Hollywood's most beloved couples has called it quits. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, once seen as the gold standard of love in the spotlight, have officially separated after 19 years of marriage. For fans who grew up watching their red carpet kisses, anniversary posts, and heartfelt interviews, the news doesn't just feel like another celebrity breakup, it feels like the end of an era. But how did a love story that seemed so unshakable finally come undone? The answer may be more complicated and more heartbreaking than anyone expected. The shocking confirmation came this week when Spill-Poked YouTube channel verified what had been swirling in the rumor mill. Nicole and Keith are no longer together. According to inside sources, Nicole's family, especially her sister Antonia, has been her rock, rallying around her as she navigates this painful chapter. One insider shared that Nicole didn't want this split and had been fighting hard to save the marriage. The revelation hit fans like a tidal wave because on the surface, everything still looked perfect. Their anniversary post in June showed Nicole cuddled up with Keith, writing, "Happy anniversary, baby." To the outside world, their love looked alive and thriving, but behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. While fans were swooning over anniversary photos, reports suggest that Nicole and Keith had actually been living apart since the start of summer. Nicole had been busy filming Practical Magic 2 in London, often surrounded by her daughters and extended family. Meanwhile, Keith was fully immersed in his tour life, with stops scheduled across the U.S., including his October 2nd show in Pennsylvania. At first, the separation may have looked like nothing more than two busy careers pulling in opposite directions. But as weeks turned into months, the distance only deepened. The once inseparable pair seemed to be living two very different lives. Nicole, the actress anchored in family and film sets, and Keith, the touring musician constantly on the move. Behind closed doors, the emotional toll of being apart was growing heavier. And despite Nicole's attempts to hold on, the relationship that once felt unbreakable was quietly slipping away. What makes this breakup sting even more is the history these two shared. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban tied the knot back in June 2006 in a romantic Sydney ceremony, with the world watching. From the very beginning, they embodied the dream pairing, an Oscar-winning actress and a country music star, blending their worlds seamlessly. Over the years, they welcomed two daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, building a family life that seemed both private and deeply devoted. Unlike so many Hollywood relationships that fizzled quickly, Nicole and Keith endured. Red carpet. After red carpet, anniversary after anniversary, they radiated the kind of affection fans could believe in. For nearly 2 decades, they weren't just a couple. They were proof that love could survive fame, distance, and pressure. Their marriage became one of Hollywood's rare success stories, which is why this split doesn't just feel like another headline. It feels like a story that redefines what we thought we knew about them. Looking back now, fans are questioning whether the signs were hiding in plain sight. Nicole's Instagram posts over the summer seemed to feature more moments with her daughters and extended family than with Keith. Her summer memories post in August highlighted time spent with family in Australia. But noticeably, Keith was absent. At the same time, Keith appeared laser-focused on his tour, with social media updates centering on rehearsals, shows, and life on the road. The couple's once frequent joint appearances began to dwindle, replaced by solo snapshots of two people leading separate lives. Still, most fans brushed it off as the demands of two busy careers. After all, long stretches apart had always been part of their story. But in hindsight, those subtle shifts painted a different picture. A love quietly drifting into distance. What makes this story even more heartbreaking is how quickly everything seemed to unravel. Just a few months ago, in April 2024, Nicole Kidman spoke with Spill-Poked YouTube channel and opened up about her life. She spoke with warmth, with certainty, calling Keith her deep, deep love. She credited him for giving her the strength and stability to chase her career without fear, because she always knew where she could come back to. Those words painted a picture of unshakable devotion. Fans read that interview and felt reassured. Here was a Hollywood couple who had cracked the code, who had somehow made fame and love coexist in harmony. But now, those same words feel haunting. Because just months later, the marriage she described as her foundation was already crumbling. It raises a painful question. What changed so suddenly? Some say the demands of their careers became impossible to balance. Nicole was filming in London for weeks at a time, while Keith was constantly on the move with his tours. Others whisper that the emotional connection that once anchored them had started to fade, buried under the weight of distance and time apart. And perhaps the saddest part of all is this. While Nicole was still speaking of Keith with adoration, describing him as her safe place, the reality was moving in the opposite direction. Behind the curtain of interviews and Instagram posts, their love story was already in its final chapters. It's a harsh reminder that what we see in the spotlight is rarely the full story. The smiles, the declarations of love, the glamorous appearances, they can hide the quiet struggles, the disagreements, the long nights spent apart. And when those cracks finally become too wide to cover, the perfect picture shatters for everyone to see. Of course, no Hollywood split is complete without rumors, and Nicole and Keith's breakup is no exception. Some online chatter suggests the physical distance between them was just the surface of deeper issues. Fans have speculated that their careers, once a source of mutual pride, may have turned into a wedge. With Nicole's demanding film schedule and Keith's relentless touring, it may have become harder and harder to find common ground. Others claim there were emotional strains brewing long before the separation, tensions that friends may have noticed but the public never saw. Reports even suggest that despite their public declarations of love, the couple had quietly been struggling behind the scenes for years. It's important to note, though, that much of this is unverified. Rumors are exactly that. Rumors. What's clear is that something shifted, something powerful enough to unravel nearly 2 decades of marriage. And as speculation swirls, one thing remains certain. Both Nicole and Keith are now facing the future apart, but the question remains, was this the inevitable result of 2 powerful careers colliding, or was there a hidden truth that fans may never fully know? In the end, what makes this story so powerful isn't just the breakup itself, it's what it represents. For nearly 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban weren't just husband and wife. They were a symbol of stability in an industry built on chaos. They showed the world that love could survive fame, distance, and pressure. And for a long time, it really did. Now, Nicole is leaning on her family, especially her sister Antonia, who's become her anchor through the storm. Keith, meanwhile, is carrying on with his tour, moving from stage to stage, his life defined by music and the road. Their paths may no longer run side by side, but both are still standing strong in their own ways. But maybe that's the bittersweet truth of love stories. Even the strongest ones can come to an end. And here's where the bigger picture comes into focus. If a couple like Nicole and Keith, with nearly 2 decades of history, children, and unshakable public devotion, can still fall apart, what does that say about the realities of marriage under the spotlight? Were they simply another casualty of distance and busy careers? Or did something deeper fracture a bond that once seemed unbreakable? One thing is certain, their story isn't over. It's just changing. Whether this separation leads to healing, co-parenting harmony, or even reconciliation down the road, only time will tell. For now, all the world can do is watch, speculate, and remember that behind the Hollywood lights, these are 2 people navigating heartbreak like anyone else. So maybe the real question isn't why did they separate, but rather, how do you rebuild when the love you thought would last forever suddenly slips away? And perhaps that's the part of the story we'll only discover in the years to come.